Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Sports Debates. I'm Ryan. We've got Dwayne, and the NBA playoffs have arrived. We're very excited. This week is the play-in tournament, and then the first round kicks off on Saturday. So, since we're filming this during the play-in, we're not going to touch on it too much. And by the time this video rolls out, some of it will already be done. So some of these takes could just completely backfire. After that, we're going to look at the matchups that are set. So the 4-5 matchups and the 3-6 matchups. Preview those like we did with the NFL playoffs, pick our winners, and our full bracket predictions will be put out right before the playoffs so you can see who we have for the champion. All right, so let's start in the play-in just briefly and take a look at that. So in the West, it's the 7 and 8 matchup with the Warriors and the Grizzlies. Winner of that becomes the 7 seed. Loser plays the winner of Kings Mavericks for the 8th seed. Then in the East, it's Magic Hawks. It's the 7 and 8. Winner goes to 7. Loser plays Bulls and Heat for the 8th seed. So right now on April 15th, before the games start, who do you have coming out of the play-in tournament?
I'm gonna say Warriors seventh, Grizzlies eighth. In the East, I have the seventh seed being Orlando and the Heat actually coming to eighth.
All right, so of the play-in teams, they're going to be facing some really good 1 and 2 seeds. All of them over 50 wins, 3 of them with 60 plus wins. Is there any play-in team that you think could make some noise and pull off an upset?
Out of the West, obviously, I think the Warriors. I think the lack of experience, similar how OKC had it last year,
Hmm.
the lack of experience in the Rockets. Because if you look at how their last few seasons have been. They were the 14th in the league, the 26th in the league, the 14th in the league, and now they're the second. They haven't had a lot of that playoff or even competitive experience. And now you're kind of throwing them in against a very experienced Warriors team. The Rockets' talent will give you three solo games, but the Warriors' poise and the way they just run their offense every single time will give that Rockets team trouble. So I would say the Warriors. And out of the East, it's really hard to say that any seventh or eighth seed are beating either one of these teams. If anyone, it would be the Magic, are a
Yeah.
strong enough team against the top tier teams to do so. I mean, no shot at the Nuggets. I'm not the Nuggets. The Hawks, sorry. The Hawks, they're a good team and have been known as almost giant killers sometimes. I don't see the Hawks having the same run they usually do. But I definitely, if anyone in that bottom tier East squad, is definitely Orlando.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Warriors, I mean, 48 wins is the 7th seed. Like that's they're as much as a contender as everyone else. And I think they still believe they're title contenders, right? They traded for Jimmy Butler. Curry is still Steph Curry. The supporting cast has played pretty well. I mean, I think they have every intention of making a deep run. I think they have it well if they can get this 7th seed and go through the young Rockets team. You've got a dynasty versus a potential new dynasty going head to head. That'll be interesting. But yeah, I feel like Warriors would probably be able to get through them. And then, yeah, don't be surprised if you see the Warriors in the conference finals in the West. I mean, that could very easily happen. All right, let's go Nuggets Clippers. Okay.
Mm.
4-5 matchup in the West. You've got the 50-win Nuggets versus the 50-win Clippers. This season series was split to a piece. Most of those games, Kawhi was still hurt. So you've got a little better of a Clippers team in this matchup. The Clippers were also like the hottest team to end the season, 18-3 down the stretch. One of the best offense and defensive teams over the last month or so. The Nuggets, on the other hand, it hasn't been as smooth. And now they're without their head coach, without their general manager. They have Jokic, though. So there's always that. How do you like this matchup?
I think it's Clippers. I love Jokic and I love what they have. Well, I don't love the things and decisions they have made. And I think when you look at teams like the Grizzlies and Nuggets, the second they lose their coach, their record dropped immediately. So I find that going into the playoffs, that's hard to do with a whole new coach that you haven't had for most of the season. Sure, he might have been there, but not as coach. The Clippers are just right now on a hot streak, especially coming from that Warriors game. They are, I would think, ecstatic at this point because Harden said he's never played in a playing game, and he said he won't again. And here we are, he's not in a playing. And Harden's acting different. Kawhi's all of a sudden got into a brand new prime. He's just balling. I'm surprised, if anything, from this Clippers team. So maybe it's because the shock value, but I really do think the Clippers might take this. I'll say in six.
Yeah, I also have Clippers. I didn't pick an amount of games, so probably six as well. I feel like Jokic at that level is going to get you a couple
Oh yeah,
wins. What are we going to get out of a Jamal Murray? He's great in the playoffs, but this season has just been so weird for the Nuggets, especially down the stretch. And we talked a lot about the supporting cast. We were talking about the MVP discussion and how we just haven't seen enough out of the other guys on the court there. It's not as deep. This Clippers team is pretty deep, and guys have stepped up. And now you have Kawhi, who I think has a good chance of staying healthy for a run because they've managed him really well, and he's made an immediate impact. Harden is cruising. Yeah, I think Clippers come out on top. Yeah, Clippers third best defense in terms of defensive rating, and they've been the best offense down the stretch. Yeah, it's going to be interesting for the Nuggets for
third
sure.
defense, and you got James Harden on your team.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And Kawhi was out half the season too. Let's go to the other West series, the Lakers and the Timberwolves. And this is a really, really cool matchup. You got the 3 seed Lakers at 50 and 32 versus the 6 seed Timberwolves with just one less win, 49 and 33. That shows you how close the West was. They also split the season series, but this was another weird one because you look at how much these teams have changed, especially the Lakers. That first game they played, that was the season opener, and the Lakers won because they got 36 from Anthony Davis. He's not there anymore. Second game, you had injuries from Austin Reeves. Third game, Minnesota won as well, but you were getting big minutes from Anthony Davis, D'Lo, Reddish, all those guys. They're not here anymore. The most recent matchup, the Lakers won. They had Luka and LeBron, but the Timberwolves didn't have Julius Randle or Rudy Gobert. So we haven't seen these teams fully healthy matching up until now. Anthony Edwards, second coming of Michael Jordan when it hits playoff time. Luka, if we remember last year, faced the Timberwolves and absolutely embarrassed them. 32, 9, and 8, 43 from beyond, step back over Gobert's head, prime Luka. And I mean, he's been resting a lot this year,
Yeah.
so he's just getting started. LeBron wants that ring more than ever, it seems. And the Lakers have had a lot of momentum down the stretch. Honestly, I feel like the Timberwolves are a little bit better of the team, like overall, better defensive rating and offensive rating. They were top 10 in both. Lakers are kind of hot and they have Luka now. So what do you think about the series?
I think Wolves in seven. I think this is going to go down to the wire because Anthony Edwards and first of all, I think Anthony Edwards would take that loss to Luka personally.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to see that and try to guard Luka. To be fair, it's hard to guard someone that's unguardable. I feel like that, and Luka is going to want to prove that that trade was valuable now, not
Mm-hmm.
just for X amount of years now. And I'm here to win now. I think the deciding factor of that ultimately will be the pieces around him. If not Rudy, because Rudy ain't doing that. if Julius Randle steps up
Yeah.
big, I don't see the Wolves losing that, even with LeBron stepping up big, because
Mm-hmm.
Ant when Ant plays well, it's the whole team just that like the energy just pops off. You have Nas Reed now dropping like 15 or 20 off the bench. Like Once Ant gets going, the entire team gets going, and that becomes unstoppable. And even though Luka or LeBron might get hot, a lot of times the team will not necessarily jump up immediately. That may be a slow ride in which that's not going to work against the Wolves. So I definitely have the Wolves in seven, but I will say that Lakers in seven is also very, very, very possible.
For sure. Yeah, I like the Timberwolves defense and their ability to match up with this team pretty well. You got Jaden McDaniels, who's a very versatile defender. Edwards is going to play pressure. Randall and Gobert match up well because the Lakers, their biggest problem down the stretch here is they don't really have good bigs, right? You traded Anthony Davis,
I mean, neither is Rudy Gobert.
Rudy Gobert, but he's going against Jackson Hayes, so I kind of like his chances
Balance it
there.
out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's Jackson Hayes, their second string center right now, Lakers, Dorian Finney-Smith. I didn't think he was a center, but there he is.
That is bad.
So I think the X factor is going to be the Lakers big men. Like, what are you going to do there? We know they can shoot. We know the Timberwolves can shoot. You're going to have the superstars going head to head. The worst comes to worst, the Timberwolves are going to be able to feast in the paint as well. And I think that could be what puts you over the top a little bit there. So yeah, I'm also going Timberwolves in seven. I think Emmanuel had Lakers, so to keep it interesting. When I was first going through the bracket, I was like automatically putting the Lakers in the conference finals because I was like, oh, well, this is like the narrative around them. I was like, wait, let me look into this a little more. And Timberwolves, they're right
Scary
there.
team.
Like they're a scary team, and we underestimate what Anthony Edwards can do.
Originally, I had since the Timberwolves were in the play-in, I had them beating the Rockets
Yeah.
in 5 games because
Hmm.
that's a scary dude to go up against, man.
Let's go to the East. Let's go Pacers Bucks. 4-5 matchup, rematch of last year in the first round. And Pacers sent the Bucks home last year. They're looking to do it again. Pacers 50 wins. Don't sleep on the Pacers. 4 seed, 50 and 32. Bucks were 48 and 34. Bucks without Lillard for at least the start of the playoffs. There's a chance he could come back, but they would probably need to advance. That was the most recent report like an hour ago that I read. So there's a chance. So that's something they're playing for there. Pacers were ninth in offense, 14th in defense. Bucks were 10th in offense, 12th in defense. Milwaukee won the season series 3-1. The one loss they had was on that Halliburton corner buzzer beater that was absolutely ridiculous. Giannis feasts on the Pacers. He averaged 30, 12, and 7 this year, shot 64% from the field. Siakam has guarded him the most. He's dropped 47 on his head in 27 minutes. So, Siakam's going to put pressure on, but he's not going to be able to stop him. He can just like slow him down, I guess. Halliburton and Siakam, though, have both played well in this series and overall. So Bucks kind of shorthanded without Dame. It's kind of Giannis, and then who else is kind of the question. Pacers have a very well-rounded team and a lot of scoring options behind Halliburton. Who do you got in this series?
Bucks. I think the just pure dominance of Giannis is going to push this team so much farther. I wouldn't be surprised, and this is going to sound really wild, if he averages 35 in the series. Like he's going to dog them because they're not strong enough. You've seen what he did against Miles Turner. You see what he did against Siakam. He's tearing them up, and then along with that, you have Kyle Kuzma. Now I know Kyle Kuzma ain't the brightest of them all. Like you don't want to just rely. Okay, let's see if Kyle Kuzma shows up. But I do believe he will. I feel like he will give you 18 or 20 a game. And I feel like that will be enough. I have them at 6. I have enough to push them out because we forget Giannis is still an MVP this season. Those stats still say he's an MVP. Now, he might not be better than statistically than Shea or Jokic, but still in crazy MVP numbers that he's putting up. And he only gets better in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely have the Bucks, and I don't even like. Usually, I'll say, "Oh, but maybe no." I think Pacers are a fraudulent team.
Really?
They were. I think they okay. I have a category of fraudulent teams. There's 2 teams in there. I'll get to the next one later. But Pacers is one of those. They remind me of Utah when they had Donovan Mitchell.
Mm.
In the season, they go ballistic. I mean, they go great, one of the top teams, but we know they're not getting very far. If they win the first round, okay, that's it. But I don't even see them doing that this year.
Well, I have the Pacers.
Fair enough.
Pacers in 7, though. And I think that Giannis alone is going to will it to 7 games. But me personally, I'm very concerned about the supporting cast behind Giannis. I don't trust those guys. There's not really a second option that I like
Is Brook
to
Lopez still
help them.
there?
Lopez is there.
Oh, and healthy?
You have Lopez, you have Portis,
Forget
um,
Portis.
Kareem Prince,
Lopez.
but the guys have been there. Yes,
Okay.
Lopez is there. But I'm looking back at the last season when they matched up in the playoffs, right? Pacers 1-6. Giannis didn't even play that series. So considering that the Bucks team took them to 6 without Giannis is one thing, but Dame averaged 31 in that series, playing only 4 of those games. You had Middleton averaging 24. So they had better scoring options last year, and they didn't even have Giannis. So me personally, I think that
Okay.
Giannis is going to dominate. He's going to will him to 7 games. But I like the complete roster that the Pacers have. I like Siakam. I think he's a dog. I like just the supporting cast, the glue players behind Halliburton. And I think the Pacers are going to be able to outlast them. Last one, Knicks, Pistons. The 3-6 matchups. It's the 51-win Knicks versus the 44-win Pistons. From 14 wins to 44 wins, they're in the playoffs. And very exciting. This young team looking to make some noise. The Knicks made a deep run last year. Jalen Brunson had like 4 straight 40-point games in the playoffs. You know he's going to play. So this season series, the Pistons won 3 out of the 4 matchups. The one that they lost was like the second week of the season before the Pistons were even like competitive. They were still recovering from the abysmal last season. Cade torched them in that series. 35-8, shooting 56 from the field and 52% from 3. So he likes them. The pick and roll with Durant and Stewart, like Knicks couldn't do anything about that. They tried multiple guys to guard Cade. Bridges, McBride, Anunoby, Brunson. He dropped over 19 points on all of them in their matchups this season. So, yeah. Knicks, though, Brunson averaged 28, 2, and 7 in that series as well. Cat 24, 11, and 5. Looking back on those games, the biggest thing that I noticed in those Knicks losses, their bench gave them nothing. There was a couple games where their bench had like 2 guys scoring. Meanwhile, the Pistons were getting like 30 off the bench from Malik Beasley. Dwayne, who you got?
I got Pistons. And I got, it's just going to sound crazy, Pistons in 5.
Oh,
And remember when I was talking earlier about fraudulent teams? The Knicks are the number one fraudulent team. When they face a top 3 seed in the season, when they place, they are 0 and 11.
mm,
0 and 11. That means they beating up on bad teams. Do you or teams that are around them and they're like equal? I don't know. Cade been giving them nasty work. I mean, like, dude, you can't ignore that. And then my X factor is the wish I saw A Thompson, but I don't know if it's a sore or Amen.
it
So
is a SAR.
if he could lock down Jalen Brunson, which I believe he can, because their defense is out the wild. And if you just look how fast Sore is and how high he jumps, and he can easily hang with Brunson. Where last year Brunson was facing, no offense, but Kelly Oubre. Like I mean, no offense, but Kelly Oubre is not as fast, not cannot jump as high, excuse me, as a sword, and that's a whole nother defender. So I have that 5. I really don't see the Knicks doing much.
Yeah, this is one I've gone back and forth on because I kind of laid out the advantages for each team. The Knicks, I give them the advantage of experience, obviously. They made a deep run last year. Pistons, new territory for most of these guys. I think they have the size advantage. I like the matchup for Karl Anthony Towns on the surface, I have him as a big X factor. Like he needs to just be the prime Karl Anthony Towns. And I think they're like starting five, like they're big names, one of the best starting fives in the league on paper with those names. But the Pistons, they have defense. I think they're a much better defensive team. They're much quicker and faster because they're younger, right? They're one of the youngest teams here. And they have the depth, right? I brought up the point about the bench. You're getting Malik Beasley off the bench who's scoring a lot. Multiple guys, 6, 7 guys were consistently putting up points on their bench in these matchups against the Knicks in the regular season. Knicks were lucky to get one guy scoring off the bench, right? And these were games where Brunson was still playing great and Towns was playing great and Bridges was playing great. But the fact that the Pistons were still able to win those games, like, again, when I first made my bracket, I was like, oh, Knicks easy. Like, come on. And now I'm looking at this and I honestly don't know what to do. Like right now I have written down Knicks in 6, but like I'm second guessing myself, like just by looking at it. I'm gonna go just to keep it interesting. I'm gonna go Knicks in 6, right? I think similar to some of the other younger teams we've seen in the playoffs, maybe Pistons aren't ready for it a little bit.
I
Knicks
think
kind of
their
use that momentum.
I think their talent is just
That's the thing. I know.
and their talent all around is just better. Not only how do I put it? It's not that their talent is one of the craziest in the league, but they have a coach that sat with them. It was like, we need to get this done this season. Like, we need to get this done. They only a few roster changes.
Elias Harris plus
Well,
16 wins when he's on the court.
anyways, they had barely any changes to their roster, and they're 30 wins better. I mean, you just tell the team to lock in, they lock in. So I have them there.
What the Knicks can do is take advantage in the time that Cade's off the court. Statistically,
Always.
Pistons are a bottom 5 offense when Cade is not on the court because they don't really have that second option necessarily. That whereas Brunson's off the court, you've got Towns, you've got Bridges, and whoever's off the court. Like, and the Knicks, they play more than anybody. They're dogs. They play the whole game. If there's a situation where Cade's got to rest, like you got to jump on those, and I think that could maybe give them a game or two
At the
if
same
they can
time,
outlast.
think about a Knicks team that plays the entire game. But guess what? They have not seen a defense like this in the playoffs before. They have not. Brunson had wait, who did they face before the Pacers?
That was us, Sixers.
Wait, so it was Pacers. Wait, Sixers, Pacers, and who they
They
played?
lost
Celtics.
to the they
Oh,
lost
they
to the
lost to.
Pacers.
Oh yeah, they have not played a good defense in the playoffs. They haven't. No, no, definitely the Sixers were not a good defense, but the Pacers are definitely not a good enough defense. Again, when it comes to guard versus guard, because if you wanted to, you could just have Cade guard Brunson, and that's great defense already. You put a sore on him, he's definitely not scoring. And now they have to go to Cat, who's being guarded by Jalen Duren, and now they have to go to Malik or OG, who aren't bona fide scorers.
Mm-hmm.
So you run into the issue that if you play them more minutes, they're just going to get more and more tired and be more fatigued because of great defense. So if anything, Tibbs better run a different strategy, or he's going to have his players maybe get hurt possibly.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of what happened last year. They ran out of steam. Like they were a better team than the Pacers, like especially the way they've been playing. But they just ran out of gas.
Yeah.
Pacers. Wait, hold up. Pistons and 6, I guess. I don't even know what I have on my bracket that I'm making, so we'll see. I'll stay consistent. All right, so those are the first round matchups that are set. Which of these series are you most excited to be watching?
I got two. I got the I know no, ooh, not the Pacers. Really back. Pistons Knicks. I'm very excited for that. And it's between because I don't think the Nuggets Clippers it's gonna really look interesting, but the Lakers Timberwolves
Mm-hmm.
that
That's gonna be a movie.
I really think that will shape the rest of the playoffs. Because if you're facing Ant, who's just smoked them, you're like, oh God. But if you're facing Luka and LeBron just already, you're like, oh gosh. Like, so
Yeah.
there's no winning when it comes to the other teams. So
If you're like OKC and you're watching this, are you more scared if the Timberwolves take down the Lakers? Because then you're like, uh-oh, Ant-Man's on a mission. Or is it you're expecting to face the Lakers and you'd rather just know, like, play who you're expecting?
it depends. If Ant has a good series and they win, I am petrified. If Ant has an okay series, like still an Ant series, but like not as much as he did last year, I'm
Hmm.
comfortable. Either way, if the Lakers win, I'm petrified because they still got to take down Ant, and that's still difficult in itself.
You know who's not scared? Manuel. I guarantee you he ain't scared of anything. I gotta read off his picks.
What's that? Okay, oh God.
So his first round, he's got Pacers over Bucks.
Okay.
He's got Knicks over Pistons. He made that change after he sent me the original. He
Wait,
said
Knicks over
Knicks over Pistons. He's got Nuggets and he's got Timberwolves.
Nuggets? You lying?
He's got
Oh
Nuggets.
my God.
He's making up for his SGA support. He's got to give Jokic something.
Okay, I do have one question for you.
Got you.
Who will be the top performer in these series?
Of all the series or for each series?
All this. Oh, I mean, we could do each series if you wanted to. I would be fine with that. Actually, yes, each series.
Each series.
Yeah.
Well, Pistons definitely Cade.
Okay.
Right, puts himself on the map there. Pacers. If Pacers win, I feel like it's Siakam.
Okay.
Right, Bucks win, it's obviously Giannis.
Yeah.
Lakers probably more Luka than
Mm.
LeBron. Wolves Edwards. I like the Nuggets, obviously Jokic, but Clippers is interesting because I feel like multiple guys could make an impact there and dominate. Like, I mean, if we get playoff Kawhi like from a few years back, I don't know if he still got that in the tank, but and then
Looks like
Harden,
it though.
he looks like it. Harden, we've seen him suck in the playoffs, cough
Mm.
cough. But who do you
I
got?
okay. For each series, I have for Pistons. I did X factors instead of so sure for the Pistons. For the Knicks, Miles McBride.
Miles
That's who.
McBride.
If he steps up like he did against Sixers series, they will take them to seven. I'll say because he was a huge factor off that bench. I'm
Yeah,
ginormous. Bucks obviously I had Giannis, and that was it, just Giannis. I had Ant, but I also had Nas Reed. Something about him when
Nas Reed.
it's just something about when he plays well that the whole arena erupts.
Mm-hmm.
And that that gets the Wolves all excited. For the Clippers Nuggets series, I actually had James Harden. I feel
I'll be
like
mad if he has a good series, bro.
but I feel like he'll do is he'll click into that MVP James Harden
Mm,
for that series, and then that won't appear in the rest of the playoffs.
seen that before. All right. Well, thank you for watching, and we'll be back covering round two.